Hello and welcome to this video. I'm so excited to bring this video to my channel and bring this special offer, which I will talk about at the end of this video. But in this video, we're going to be talking about the Akashic records, about what the Akashic records are, and what information we can bring through from our soul as we enter into the Akasha, and how that information can help us in the here and now. So I'm so excited to get into that. But also, I actually have an exclusive interview with an international Akashic elder, Valentina Matthias. I feel so honored to be doing this interview with her. She's so fascinating. She's such a fascinating soul. And as you'll start to find out as we move through this video, I've been training with Valentina. I'm one of her students. She is my teacher who has been teaching me how to access my own personal Akasha. And again, as we'll move on to in the video, I'm going to be actually going to Costa Rica in November and do my level 2 Akashic training with Valentina in person. So I'm so excited to meet her. And after that training, I'm going to be qualified and I'm going to be able to do readings for other people. I'm going to be able to take other people into the Akashic records and actually get information from their soul and from their guide. So we're going to go into that a little bit more as we move through. But so as we go through this video, at the end, there is going to be a special offer because my intention is to raise money for my trip to Costa Rica. Part of that trip will be doing the Akashic Level 2 training, but there's other things involved in that. And again, we'll go into that when we move into the interview with Valentina. So with that in mind, I am offering a special offer, which we'll get to at the end. Right, so let's dive in. So the Akashic records, what are the Akashic records? Well, when we are entering into the Akashic records, we're actually getting access to the galactic, the earth, and the soul cosmic library. So think about it as a library, as an energetic library where there are books, scrolls, information, energies that we can look at and read and receive information. So it's filled with knowledge, wisdom, gifts from the collective and also personal as well. It's basically the blueprint of our lives, our past lives, our origins, so we can find out, where did we begin as a soul, as a light seed? Where are our origins? What lives have we traversed? What is our purpose? Why did our soul choose to incarnate in this body at this now time? Because it's not by accident that you are here, and it's not by accident that you chose everything about your life. It's because you have a blueprint. Your soul has a destined plan that it wants to play out in this life, and it does certain things to get our attention as the human aspect of ourselves, so that we start to follow those signs, those nudges. We start to connect the dots and we start to walk on our path of destiny. So within this library is our purpose. It's our mission. It's all the lessons that we came here to learn, grow, and expand from. But it's even more than that. If that wasn't enough, right? If that wasn't exciting enough, what do we want to know most as people? We always want to know, who am I? Who am I? Because we certainly aren't shown who we are through this society that we're born into. So often we go on that inner search, trying to discover who is the true self, who is the authentic self. And within this, we can connect into our purpose, our mission, our lessons in life. But not only that, it's also a place where we can receive healing, massive amounts of healing. The energy in the Akashic records is sacred. It's very high vibrational. As we go into the Akashic records, we can receive healing from the energy of the Akasha itself, but also from our guides and our helpers that are within the Akashic records. And also you'll see when we go into the interview with Valentina, when I did my first Akashic records reading and Valentina was giving me healing, she was doing that with herself and with her guides that are all masters of the Akasha. So we're getting healing as we're going. We can heal things physically, emotionally, mentally in our life. It can help us to dissolve inorganic timelines, because within the Akasha, as the Akashic record has been filled with, it has the organic timelines, but there's also false records within the Akasha as well. That's why it's so important that when we're going into the Akasha, that we're going in with somebody that is really doing their work, that has been able to that has a teacher that is of the level of someone like Valentina. I don't know anybody else that is at Valentina's level, because as you're going to see as we move through the Akasha, Valentina is part of the original Akashic family and guardian. So I'm going to leave that for the interview. So we need to be, when we're going into the Akasha, we can look for false records. I'm going to talk about one that I had myself in my body. And those false records that can hold us back, create self-sabotage, create blocks, create insecurities within ourselves, they can start to be healed out of our energetic system. It's a real sacred space. And it's guarded by the Akashic family of guardians, Valentina being one of them. That we are honored that she's incarnated on earth at this time in our history. So what can a reading do for you? Why even going to the Akasha? Obviously I've just given some reasons why, but we can get clarity. We can start to get clarity on our mission, on our purpose. We can get confirmation as well, because often, if you're feeling led to have an Akashic Records reading, you're probably already getting some nudges. You're probably already considering certain things and wondering, is that the truth? So there'll be things that you can get confirmation on. You can ask questions and get that confirmed for you. You can get guidance. So when we're going into the Akasha, we're often connecting with a higher version of ourselves. The first time that I went in, Valentina brought forward my 14th dimensional self. And I learned at this point that my soul was seeded before Earth was created, so prior to the creation of the physical. And I'd already started to know this anyway. I'd already started to believe through signs, synchronicities, through information from my own soul, that I was an old soul, and I'd been around for a long time. And it certainly wasn't my first time on Earth. And it's not, if you're watching this, it's highly unlikely it's not your first time on Earth neither. But I was also knowing other things about myself, that I was here on a mission, and all of this was being confirmed to me as I went into the Akasha. So it was amazing to get that confirmation, because it helps you to build more trust on the guidance that you are receiving, because a lot of this world, this 3D world, is created to really make us mistrust ourselves, to really send us in the wrong direction. We get a lot of healing as well. So as I went into the Akasha, I was also being healed. There was something that I felt within my the left side of my body, just to the left of my heart. Often when I went into meditation, I could feel something there, and I started to get the message that there was something inorganic planted within my energetic body. So I asked the question when I went into the Akasha, and Valentina could look at the records, and basically it came through as this red book, which was really interesting, because just a few weeks earlier I'd bought a book called The Red Book. So often as well, as you're getting information in the Akasha, your soul is showing you things before you go in order to help you trust the information that you are getting. So in this red book, when Valentina looked at this red book, what came out was that there was a false record in there, and that it was a poisoning into my body to make me doubt myself, to make me always feel less than what I was, to keep me small. So she went through a really powerful process of healing that, and I could feel that healing move into my body. So I was so glad that I listened to my soul that gave me the nudges to have this Akashic record reading and go in with these questions as well. I spent some time really tuning into the questions, and from doing that, I got the answers and I got the healing that was in my highest good. So it's also activating of codes. It's going to activate codes within your energetic body, codes that have been dormant, codes that are waiting for a trigger to activate. And they activate when we move to certain levels of vibration, when we take to certain steps, when we're following our guidance. And when I actually went into the Akasha, there were things that were starting to come into my consciousness about carrying codes in my body that needed to be activated to help with this now time on earth, to help with the healing that I do. And that was all confirmed and so much more within the Akasha. As I went in and the information that I was given, some of that information, whilst it was confirmation, some of it was just activation and awakening on a whole new level. But I knew within my body that it was the truth because it resonated. And also because, again, I was given some visions just before moving into the Akasha. So it also helps to strengthen our connection to our guides and to ourself, to our own soul's self. So I'm going to tell you a few stories about a couple of things that I connected to when I went into the Akasha, so you can get an idea of what kind of information can come out. So you'll notice that I'm wearing this magenta color right now. You can see the magenta flowers. So, it was years and years and years ago when I bought this jumper. Need to get some new clothes, right? So years ago when I bought this new jumper, and normally I would never, this would not have been my color. I were all about the black. But I saw this jumper and I was just like, oh, I just love this. There's just something about it that it went against what I would normally connect to. And when I put this jumper on, I actually could feel a shift in my energy. I noticed that when I wore this color, I could feel a shift in my energy. I felt more open. I felt more connected. You'll realize if you look at my channel, often I'm wearing this jumper. I'm wearing a shirt that has the same pink in. Sometimes I change it up so people don't think, wow, she got no clothes. The answer to that would be that, yes, no, I haven't. But I wear it because it makes me feel connected. I feel a shift in this energy. So the first time I went into the Akasha with Valentina, and I was laid down because we meditate to start with. And as we were meditating, she actually said, oh, I'm connecting to your 14th dimensional self. It's a divine feminine. It's very feminine. She's a divine feminine being. And she is the magenta ray. She is this brilliant pink ray in the rose, part of the rose galaxy, which is the new galaxy, the new timeline that we are anchoring into earth. It's the heaven on earth timeline that we are bringing in. Every soul that works on their healing, every soul that focuses on healing the self, heals the planet and helps to accelerate that process of bringing in that timeline. So when she said that about the pink ray, I knew that's why I feel this shift when I wear this energy, because it's part of the ray that I use to heal people. And she actually went on later to talk about a life. We plugged into a past life, but it was just snowing. And again, I knew that was a past life because a few weeks ago, I'd been given the vision of the snow. I started getting this vision of snow. And in this life, I was a healer. And it was at a time on earth when the energies were completely different. The energies were so much more harmonious. It was a really happy life. And in this life, I had these husky dogs, and I used to travel with my partner and my two children, and we'd go to these festivals, and we'd do these festivals where we'd basically be doing kind of a bit of an entertainment show around healing, but we were healers, right? But we'd use magic, but not like the fake trickster magic. We'd use magic, and we'd use it in a way, not in a, like she said, not in a like a corny kind of a way, but in a real way to help people to alchemize and transform within. And then back at home in my practice, I would do one-on-one healing, and I would use this magenta ray to help guide people's souls back into the body. And that is the path that I have been led onto. If you look at my website, you'll see that I am a soul therapist, and I started as a hypnotherapist, but I started to realize this doesn't feel right. The soul is missing here. And I started to naturally gravitate towards doing soul work. And now I understand on an even deeper level why, because it is my mission to help people reconnect back to the soul, bring the soul back in. And I use the magenta ray to help to do that. Now, the huskies as well. So this was so interesting because when I was going in, Valentina was like, "Oh, do you have dogs?" And I'm like, "No, actually, I have cats. Everyone that knows me knows that I'm a massive cat person. And I've got cats and I've always had cats." And she said to me, "Well, you've got all these huskies around you." And obviously went into that past life as well. I was very connected to the husky dogs. And what she said is the huskies come into the healing work with you, and they're going to be coming in and doing the work with you, with clients as well. And interestingly, just a few weeks before, I'd just gone through my live reconnect program. So I'd just done my live reconnect program. You can find out details of that in the description. And it's recorded on that program that, a couple of weeks I'd gone out. So this was before my reading. I'd gone out and I was noticing all these dogs were coming up to me. Now, dogs typically do that, right? Anyway, but the owners were saying to me things like, "Oh, my dogs aren't usually like that. It's like they know you." So they were making comments like that. So it made me kind of prick up and be like, interesting. And then I started telling the story on one of my videos on one of the lives, which is recorded. So I'd gone out and I bumped into this owner, and we were talking about his dog. And I said, "What's your dog called?" He's like, "My dog's called Shadow." And I was like, "Oh, Shadow, my cat was called Shadow." And Shadow came in. Shadow taught me so many things. Shadow came into that program that week. And when I was telling the story to the live group, I actually said, "Well, I was out walking my dog." And then I was like, "I don't have a dog." So there was so many things that started to happen where the husky started to really move into my consciousness prior to going into the Akasha, almost as a confirmation. And now I feel them around me. I notice that they get in the bed sometimes when I'm meditating. But it was so like, I would have never really guessed that or known that previously. And it started to activate a lot within me. So another amazing story from the Akash is really about my guardian angels. So a couple of nights before I had my second Akashic records reading, I mean, the first one blew my mind, I have to say, and the second one it was another level. So what I've realized is you're going in and getting information from your Akasha, it builds and it opens up more because you've got to integrate the information and the healing, and then you're going to another level, right? And it's opening up even more information for you. So when I went in for the second time, I'd really been, the angels were really showing up really strongly in my field. I'd really been reconnecting back to my guardian angels. And I had a couple of nights before the Akasha seen, I was basically playing with some tarot cards, and the card flipped out guardian angel, and I thought, "Oh, my guardian angels." And as I thought that, boom, this orb showed up in front of on my ceiling, and it was this like pearlescent rainbow orb, and I just knew that was my guardian angel showing themselves to me. So I asked the question in the Akash, was that my guardian angels? Can you give me more information about my guardian angels? And straight away they were like, well, to be honest with you, first of all, they were having a bit of a joke, and Valentina was like, "Oh, they're joking around. They're very humorous, your guardian angels." And I thought, that definitely aligns with me, because again, anyone that knows me will know that I like to have fun. I like to laugh a lot, make light of things. I do joke a lot. I definitely get that a lot from my dad as well. But it made sense that my guardian angels would be that way, would just be about having fun. And when they came through, there was two. So I found out there wasn't just one, there was two guardian angels. So I had a female, I had a divine feminine, and a divine masculine. And the masculine showed up as a kind of Merlin type, which again, Merlin had been coming in for me strong in the last few years. And my guardian angel was this like real like bright pink crystal angel. And Valentina actually made a comment with something they were saying about saving me, but it wasn't in a way that she was saying it in like a physical way, but I knew what they were saying, and it came to me, and this memory came to me from my childhood. So when I was younger, and I was about 12, I think, I was going with my friend to drama class, which my sister was holding. So we were doing Grease remix. So I was about 12, maybe 13. Yeah, about 12. And crossing the road, I literally nearly got run over by this huge lorry, and it literally just went past my, it was literally like a hair. And at the time, I was in shock. At the time, I was just in shock. And also, I was thinking, oh my God, if I tell my mum, she's going to be so mad that I didn't look across the road. So I never really mentioned it about it. And it was years and years ago that it started to come into my consciousness. And I started to see that scene. And I started to realize I'd actually been picked up and thrown across the road. So I tell this story to Valentina while we're in the Akasha. And absolutely, she confirms this. They confirm this. They say, yeah, absolutely. They come, the woman moved into my body and the male pushed me across the road. And they said that they saved me because I was already awakening. I was awake. I was waking up. I was on the path to my full awakening and activation. I was on the right path to my mission. So this saved me. So it was absolutely, I mean, it was amazing. To get that confirmation, to speak to my guides like that. You know, my guide sort of said, you know, the way they kind of come in is almost like this crystal quartz and this silver at the top, and they just their energy slides in. So they also told me that by having a crystal quartz, they can connect to me even deeper. So you can get information about crystals, things that you can use to just open up that conversation even more with your own guides and spirit team, because we've all got guides. We've all got guardian angels, and they just want to get our attention. So I also have been for a long time just knowing that I'm going to write some books, right? This I've known since my 20s. I've always thought in my mind, I'm going to write books here. I've always been very connected to books, love books, especially books that are activating, books that activate memories with inside of me. You know, I can think about certain books that have been really pivotal on my path, like The Journey of Souls. That book confirmed so much that I knew inside, and it was just so nice to have it confirmed back to me, because the whole world denied the existence of past, or not the whole world, but a lot of the world, especially in the Western society, completely denied that we had past lives, that we'd been here before. So when I read that book, it was really activating for me. So I love books, and I've always in my mind been like, one day I'm going to write books. So I brought this through, and I brought through what I've been thinking, and I asked, you know, am I going to be doing some books with my guides? I felt like I'll be channeling them with my guides. And that was absolutely confirmed. And a lot of information came through about that and how I will be accessing that information and bringing those books through. So watch this space for some books that I will be bringing through. Another thing that came to me, so I run a program, Reconnect, which is all about healing, awakening, transformation, reconnecting back to your true soul self. And when I was writing one of the meditations, and this was the chakra meditation, and actually we're going to talk about the word chakra as we move into the interview with Valentina, because it's actually a more expanded vibrational word for chakra, but I'm just going to stick with this for now. Okay, so as I was writing this meditation for the chakras and clearing out the chakras, activating and opening them, the chakras, which actually, from going into my second Akash, I found out is part of my purpose, that I will actually, that through that work I do, I actually help to destroy all of this kind of like membranes, all of the emotions that got stuck around the crystal, so that people can activate keys and codes within their own chakric system. So that happens when you work with me through these programs. So when I was channeling this meditation, this chakra one, I'd got to the third eye, and what came through to me was dissolving blind eye technology. And I thought to myself, what the hell's blind eye technology? Where's that come from? But I just thought, for me, it feels like it's something that goes over the third eye that stops you from being able to see fully with your third eye. So this was something that I asked about in the Akasha. I was like, well, I want to know what this blind eye technology is. And I started to feel as well that perhaps it wasn't something that had happened to me, but it was actually something I'd done to myself. I was starting to get that feeling. And when we went into the Akasha, that was exactly confirmed to me. And it was actually a massive celebration, because by me asking that question, it opened up these doors within the Akasha. In fact, the way that Valentina was talking about it was, she was saying we're going through, and it's like these sliding doors. All these doors are sliding, and we're going through these sliding doors to get to this place, this place where there's all these husky dogs waiting for you. There's all these people waiting for you. They're all celebrating that you've come back. And again, one of my friends will be watching this, and she knows in one of the hypnotic meditations that I did for her, I talk about sliding doors. So sliding doors had come in a few weeks again before doing this Akashic reading. And in this, what had transpired, just to not make it a huge long story, but what had transpired is that so we came across a scene where I was really just creating this life right now. Me speaking to you right now, this video was already planned a long time ago. I don't know how long in Earth years, but a long, long time ago. And we plugged into a younger me that was creating this life, and creating this life because in this life that I'm plugging into, I was an oracle, I was a seer, and I could see the timelines were being infiltrated, and I could see that there was going to be a point on Earth that needed my energy, needed, and there's many souls that are here because of that very same reason, because their energies needed to rebalance, to bring us back into the organic timeline, to dissolve the inorganic illusions that have kept humanity enslaved and in suffering for a long time. So I could see myself creating this life, every single piece of this life. And again, that took me back to the journey of souls, because when I read the journey of souls, it talked about the life room. It talked about the room where you chose your body. And you could look in and see how this life, the different branches of this life, the different possibilities of this life, should you follow your destined path. So I already knew that I'd created this life, but it was like, it just was on an even a deeper level, and also with less distortion around it. So I could see that I had created this life, and in coming into this life, and it's not the first life I've been in the earth, I'd been in a few other times before in order to anchor my energy in order to acclimatize to the energies of Earth, because the energies of Earth, or what we've been in, is a lot different to the original energies of Earth. And in coming in, I knew that for my own protection, I needed to take out my third eye, because often part of the lineages that I am related to, these would be hunted by the dark forces, right? So for protection, I took out my own third eye, because what I actually knew then was, okay, I can't see you, but you also can't see me. And I planned that there would be a day that I asked myself that question: what is blind eye technology? And asking that question, it would lead me back to the Akash. It would lead me into this world to actually do some more work that I was meant to come back and do. And without going into details, we did that work in the Akash. Well, really, actually, I've put this on as a point, so I will tell you about it. It was about these crystal towers. So within there was all these crystal towers with these pink angelic beings in. And part of what I've come back to do was to really just collapse those towers. And really what this is this really represents that, again, as we come into these bodies, we're not bringing in all of our consciousness. Some of our consciousness, some of our gifts and our talents are actually in stasis. They're actually, it's almost like, if you think about the fairy tales, there's a lot of truth seeded into our fairy tales. Think about Sleeping Beauty, who's put to sleep and she's in stasis. That is the truth for many of our beings, where some of our consciousness is in stasis, waiting for the time when it is safe to be reactivated again, when it is safe on Earth for us to start bringing back and reconnecting back. So I went through a process of doing, of collapsing these towers, of freeing these pink angelic beings, these consciousnesses, so that they could start to reactivate in the incarnated Earth beings in their light body. So it was, oh my God, it was insane. Like I say, it just blew my mind. And it really created, so not only was it confirmation, it was activation, it was deeper awakening, so much triggered from that. And actually, from that reading, when I was in Ireland, and I'd actually just gone to touch my glass water bottle, and it just shattered. And it shattered the night that we were doing some training for the Costa Rica trip. And I knew there was a significance there. And when I went back and re-listened to my recording, my guides talked about, look, don't be surprised if things just shatter around you, because that's part of your energy activating codes. And I started to realize why that had been happening in my life. So it was really activating, and it was just incredible. So, how does a reading work? So, really, it starts off with a meditation. So we're going to meditation together. So what we'll be doing, if you do choose to book a reading with me through my special offer, we would be, the first part, we will be meditating together. So we'll be doing an hour's meditation together. We do this online. We'll be doing an hour's meditation together. And then what that helps us to do is bring in healing. It starts to allow us to align our vibrational fields to that of the 8th dimension, so that we can align with the Akashic records vibration, so that I can get access into your Akashic records through your permission to do so. Of course, by the fact that you book a reading, you are giving permission for that. And after that, I will then tell you what comes through during that hour meditation. Like I did it with Valentina, lots of information starts to come through in that part. And then we go into an area of your Akash where I can then access information in response to the questions that you have. So what you would do is you would come up with some questions, but know that overarching that, we always ask, what do you need to know right now? What is in your highest good? So we can get answers to your questions, but we can also get more information as well. So you don't need to worry about asking hundreds of questions at all. I in all of my sessions, I asked 5 to 6 questions, and then allowed information to come through organically. And from these questions, much information comes through. I asked, what is my purpose? What is my mission? We can ask things about that. What's your purpose? What's your mission? What are your main lessons in this life? And then you might want to ask what are your main gifts? And how can you cultivate them more? That was something that I wanted to know. I knew that my psychic senses were starting to come online. I knew that I had more to connect to. And I wanted to know, is there anything that I am doing or not doing? What's my blind spot? Is there anything that I'm not seeing? I wanted to know the answers to this. I wanted to know practical steps that I could take to help me raise my vibration, my frequency, and activate my gifts and my talents to bring into this earth what I came here to do. So what are my blinds? I wanted to know more about my spirit team. I wanted to know what is for my highest good as well. So, and obviously you can say I asked some specific questions, like about the blind eye technology, about the books. I asked things a bit about my guardian angels. So it's just, what do you want to know? Another question that I asked, actually, which I do want to bring forward. I'm just going to have a little sip of my cacao. Hold on. And take a breath. When I start to do these videos, sometimes it's like, I am channeling my higher self, and it can be quite fast sometimes. So I realize there's a lot of energy that comes through. So it comes out very, very quickly, but hopefully you can keep up. So, I forgot what I was going to ask. Oh, it's come back to me. Okay. So it's what I wanted to tell you. So, again, a lot of my close friends will know this already, that, I met somebody in 2015, and it was a real boom awakening moment for me. It sent me on a huge journey of going inwards even deeper, of connecting even deeper to source, of awakening. And I really felt a deep soul connection to this person. And I really believed for a long time that, we didn't stay together. We did split up due to many different things, which I'm not going to go into. But, I really did believe that at some point we would come back together. I felt such a strong soul connection. I'd get a lot of signs and synchronicities from the universe. But I was working to let go of that and just, use it I actually used it to actually drive my life forward rather than just be sat miserable about it, right? I actually used it to expand and grow. However, it'd been a long time and I was still kind of thinking this person was going to come back in, but I did have some doubts. I had a few doubts and I decided, you know what? I'm just going to ask this question in the Akasha. So I asked this question, is this person my person? And it came back very, with absolute no doubt, no. It basically said, no, this person was good for you on one timeline, but you're way out of that timeline now. And actually, in that, who came forward, who was waiting for me in the Akasha, was my twin soul, was my soulmate that I was going to be connecting to in this life, which was the soulmate that I was meant to meet, and we were going to work together in work as well as have a personal relationship. We're also going to have a business relationship. We came here on mission together. So this soul was, oh, there's just a beautiful robin that's just landed. This soul was, just as I say that, right, this soul who came forward as Hydra, and actually presented as a white-winged being. And there's a reason why I'm telling you this now, and we'll get to that when we move into the interview with Valentina soon, was this winged white being. And what came forward about this was, we were both these winged white beings. We were water beings as well. We were connected to the water. We part of our mission was to go into planets, Earth being one of them, and to harmonize the grids. And again, people that know me now know that I've started to move into grid work, which I didn't even know what grid work was last year. I had no clue. So my acceleration of awakening is happening very rapidly right now, just as was intended when I created this life. But we were these white-winged beings, and we just dive into the earth and harmonize the codes, harmonize the grids. It was just amazing. And in feeling Hydra's energy, so Hydra gave me this healing, I just knew, and I let go of that other person just like that. It was so easy. Yes, I still hold love for this other person. I'll always be grateful to this other person. This other person is part of my soul team, but it was easy for me to let that go. So we can help us to let things go. And I just knew in my body that this person was coming in, and I've got so much, I just know that is happening. And what Hydra said to me, obviously Hydra is not going to be the name, it's not going to be the earth name. But what Hydra said to me was, don't be surprised if you feel me holding your hand. And that did happen quite a few times after meditations. And it was so intense. And actually it did surprise me the first time because it was so intense. But I wanted to bring that forward for a couple of reasons. One, you're going to find out when we talk to Valentina. But two, so you can see if we're holding on to something. As humans, it can be so hard to let go of things. Just part of the human makeup. It can be hard for us to let go of things, especially when we put a lot of energy into something. And you can come into the Akasha if you've got something that you need to ask and you really need a clear answer. You're going to get that clear answer and you're going to feel comforted by it. It's not going to be something that you find difficult then to let go of. I mean, it was interesting because when I got to the end of that first reading, and it was like, is there anything else that needs to come forward? My higher self was like, just don't even think about getting back with that person. So I was like, because I do know this person is going to show up at some point, and I was like, okay, thank you. So it was very, very interesting. So we're going in, we're getting information, we're asking questions, we're bringing through what is in our highest good. The reading, it's going to be about 3 hours in total. So it's a fair, you need to give yourself the whole morning or the whole afternoon, depending on when we do a session if you decide to book one. Right. So now we're going to move into our interview with Valentina Mathias, who is an international Akashic Earth elder. We're so honored to have, I feel so honored to have, I'm like, go girl. I did something right to get my vibration to a point that I connected to Valentina. She's going to be talking to us about the galactic earth and the soul Akash that we enter when we go into the Akashic records. Valentina has been in Bali for the last year, but she's recently moved back home. So she's actually from Oz. She's from the beautiful Australia, Port Elliot. So she's just returned home. She has a very specific mission, which we're going to go into in more detail as we go into the interview. Today I have completed level 1 of the Akashic training, which I did during July, and that's for me to go into my own Akasha. And I'm going to be completing level 2 in Costa Rica in person by the 17th of November. I had a dream, and this was my dream, and this dream is coming true. And I have to say, guiding myself by following my guidance, by saying yes when sometimes my mind wanted to say no. Sometimes my mind wanted to say, no, can you really afford this? Or no, but I always said yes, because I've always connected to my soul. And I'm so glad I've said yes so much this year that's led me to this point. So let's dive in, and let's welcome in Valentina Matthias. Hello, so welcome, Valentina. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, because as the viewers are going to find out, you are doing a lot of things right now with the Akasha. So I'm really grateful for you taking the time, and this is going to be such an amazing treat for everyone that is watching this. So, besides the one-to-one Akashic soul readings that you do, you're doing training, which is obviously what I'm a part of, and we'll go into that a little bit more as we move on. But also, I've just completed a dream weaving shadow course with you, which has been absolutely amazing. And I even have to ask myself right now, am I dreaming or am I awake? So amazing. So
Powerful stuff.
very powerful stuff, yeah. So before we get into a little bit more about your fascinating story, could you just tell us, what is the Akasha? Because we talk about the Earth and the galactic Akasha. What exactly is it?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here on your channel. I love all my interactions with you in the trainings and the catch-ups and the chats. So it's an absolute delight to be here. I love the energy that you bring out to the world and the way you explain everything to people in easy to understand ways. So the way, so what is the Akasha? So the Akasha is a record of everything about you. It's also a record of everything about Earth and different geographical areas. It's a record of your business as well. But usually what people are looking for to start with is the records that you've left there over lifetimes, that your soul has left in this amazing etheric library, waiting for the day when you have an incarnation where you need to go back there and find out all about yourself, find out what your higher timeline skills are, find out what happened in different lifetimes if you need to, work out some tricky equations in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And the way that I access the Akash and bring it through for you is using the trilogy of Akashas that are really important for our incarnations in this time space reality at the moment. And that is the Galactic Akash, the Earth Akash, and the Soul Akash. So the Soul Akash you've possibly heard of before, and that's really the essence of who you are. It's the feeling of who you know yourself to be in your heart. And the Galactic Akash is your celestial self. It's your energy and your lifetimes and your intelligence that you bring through your journey through the stars and the different planets and the different galaxies that you've been in, and your experiences there, and that you can bring through and access for this lifetime. That's your Galactic Akash. And then there's your Earth Akash, which is your energy here. It's all about your lifetimes here on Earth, because this is what we've come for, is this incarnation here on earth. So accessing your earth Akash and having the connection of Pachamama, of Mama Earth's energy and her Akash, shared with you and your lifetimes here, is hugely important and healing, incredibly healing, and gives us so much understanding about, how we came to be who we are in our earth lifetimes and our earth lineages, whereas our galactic Akash gives us our galactic lineages, and our soul Akash gives us our soul DNA, where our soul energy has come from. So
Amazing. And that's actually one thing when I first came across you, Valentina, and I was like, I have got to have one of these readings. I've been on this journey for a long time, and you know, obviously there's something inside of us that seeks remembering who we are and awakening, and we've got missions, we've got things to do here. And one thing that I was blown away with when I had the reading with you was it's so much more than just you telling me this is what's in your soul. There was so much healing, so much activation, um, so much confirmation as well. So it's yeah,
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 there's a lot
yeah.
that comes through when you have it's so much more
That,
than
I,
reading.
yeah, when you bring in the three akashas, there's so much more to it. It's like all the pieces of the puzzle, instead a bit of knowledge that's been passed down to us over generations of how to how to access the akash.
Yeah,
It's going right back to the original architecture of what's required when humans access the akash.
yeah.
So,
And
and it's hugely healing.
beautiful you say. I mean, what I
Yeah.
noticed as well, because I've had two readings with you, and obviously I'm training with you now, but the first reading blew me away. And then the second reading was beyond because it's all because it builds, right? Because you're getting information, and I realize, well, I'm activating and I'm opening up to a new level. And then it opened the door for even more information to come through.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because when you open the Akash this way, it harmonizes and upgrades your cellular ability in your body to access more information, and it starts to harmonize your galactic coding in your body, in your light body for you. So each time you go in, it's going to a deeper alignment and more knowledge. But having said that, sometimes you will just be knocked out for healing because because that's what you need.
I, I have, in
Yeah.
fact, that's taken me back to one of the trainings recently when, when you were asking us for an update, and I was like, I don't know where I went. I was just out of there. So I was just getting a lot of healing at that time.
Yeah,
It's beautiful when that is happening as well. It's such an amazing
it is such an amazing thing. And you really have to honor that you're in your sacred wisdom place. And
yeah,
if your guides have decided that you need to be knocked out for healing and for upgrades,
yeah,
it's definitely time to accept that.
yeah, and just
Yeah.
honor that. Yeah. So
Honor it. Yeah.
fascinating. So let's start. I wanted to start with right now who you know yourself to be. So yeah, let's just start there. Who you know yourself to be in this incarnation.
Okay. So this is who I know myself to be. In this incarnation, I have brought through most of my soul DNA that I've chosen to bring through is literally from the Akash. And my family in the Akash is the Royal Akashic line, and we're the guardians of the Akash. We look after the Akashic Library for a start. We keep it organized. It's like very much like being librarians. We keep it clean for each record for the next person that wants to come and access it. And we also maintain the energy around the Akash, like the auric field around the Akash, the etheric field, so that no negative entities can, punch holes in it and start to come in and take information that isn't really rightfully theirs to access. So,
Yeah,
um, That's what we do. It's a very healing lineage that is, uh, in the past, would primarily just exist in the Akash.
Yeah. So
But
you're
we're living in unusual times.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the guardians of this such sacred information.
Yeah.
And when we talk about royal as well, I think like, we think of royal sometimes like the royals in the earth, but that's a distortion of what it really means to be royal in the organic sense of creation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like that.
No.
It's it's holding sacred codes within a royal lineage where the custodianship of them is taken with great care. And it's the same as old royal lineages on earth, where there was the concept of being the guardians and carers of a group of people in an area, and really really looking after them and assisting them. So it's similar to what we might read about old lineages, royal lineages, where there's a huge amount of responsibility that comes with it, and incredible amount of love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a sacred role of reverence and protection of creation,
Yeah.
stewardship and
Yeah.
guidance. Yeah. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. So when did you really begin to discover that was you then? When did that start to
Ah, wow. Yeah. Not till I was an adult, and I was going regularly into the Akash, and I had a friend that loved the feeling of the Akash just being open, and I wasn't yet confident with everything I was doing. I mean, I was confident in me,
yeah,
but it was all a bit weird to other people, I thought.
yeah,
So this friend was great because she just wanted it open, and she wanted to hear anything, and she didn't care, what it was, no filter, just want to know everything that's going on in there. So we'd spend like whole days with it open. And one day we were there, in my lounge room. She was on a couch, I was on a couch. I think we'd just made a cup of tea and sat back down again, and we're just waiting to see what would happen next. Very relaxed, and an Akashic spirit being walked in to the lounge room. I said to my friend, "Can you see her?" Because I wanted to just be sure. And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Tell me what she looks like." And she said, "Well, I can't see her that clearly, but she's tall and she's got these beautiful flowing sort of bluey green robes, and she's got jewels, like I think they're like emeralds or rubies here and just all over her long hair. She looks like a princess, like like a priestess, but more like more regal, like a princess.
yeah.
I was like, yes, yes, that is exactly what she looks like. And this woman floated over to my friend and gave her some healing. And
Wow.
then she floated across the room and she came to where I was sitting, and she looked at me, and I was just like still in awe. And she said to me, "You don't know who you are, do you?" And it still makes me teary. I was very teary at the time. Every time I tell retell this. And I said, "I'm an Akashic healer. I help people." And she said, "Yes, but you don't know who you are in the Akash." And I said, "Well, I I'm a healer." And she said, "Yes, but you don't know who you are." And I said, "No, I don't." She said, "You're my sister." She said, "Yes. And we don't normally incarnate. You're from the Royal Akashic line. And you wanted to be here so badly to help at this point in time on Earth's evolution, that you had to actually do a lot of studying in the Akash to be allowed to come down to assist, because you wanted people to have real access to their wisdom, to connect them up safely, and to give them the whole story of the Akashic connection. And you just basically, you wanted to help so badly that you just kept asking until you were allowed to come down. I was like, oh, okay, thank you. And what's your name? And she said, I'm Princesa Aliente. And she said, and I can help you. If you can't, for a start, she said, please come and visit us. You never come home to our area of the Akash, which I do regularly now. And she also said, if you're ever having trouble with a client where they can't understand what you're telling them, what the Akash is saying is the answer to their question, ask me to translate in words that they will understand, which she does regularly for me. Or it's not really an issue these days, but that was many years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, soon after that, I had a client who just wanted to know what she was meant to do, like what she was meant to do for a job, for an income, what was aligned for her. And it came through in the Akash that it would be great for her to do Lomi massage, Lomi massage. Sorry.
No.
And whatever I said about Lomi massage, she'd never heard of it, how it was long strokes up the body, moving energy, very healing massage. She just kept saying, I've got no idea what you're talking about. You do what? And so eventually I asked Aliante to come, and she said, tell her it's like swimming. I said, it's like swimming. She said, oh, I did squad when I was younger. So it's moving, it's just like moving your hands through the water. You're moving energy, like when you swim. And I said, yes, except you're moving energy up and down the client's body. Just like, oh, okay, now I get it. So that was wonderful. It is wonderful. And yeah,
I've,
and it was I felt very humble.
yeah.
It was really lovely to know, where my soul family lives.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like you say, I mean, what an amazing story, and it's so precious, and it's like, you're coming in, and you forget as you come into this life, right? You forget who you are, and we all have to come through that veil of forgetfulness, and we have to remember again.
Yeah,
And I know I've always had, inside of me, like, you're told all the time from the outside, this is who you are, this is who you should be, you ought to be, and always knowing, having this feeling something's not right here, I'm missing something. So the moment you start to really find out who you are, it's just, well, like you say, it's emotional. It's a beautiful experience.
very emotional. Yeah, it's very emotional, and for clients too, once they connect with their soul
Yeah,
essence and their soul family.
yeah,
And we bring in soul DNA, just like our family lineages on earth, from different aspects of our soul journey.
yeah.
But I chose to primarily bring in Akashic DNA this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, I remember again when you took me into the Akash, and I went into it where I had family waiting, and it was so emotional, and that celebration of, you followed your
Yeah.
guidance, and you it's almost like these points are like destined points, node points that you choose, or
Mm.
either choose to accept those paths and take those steps, I guess, through your heart. So yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. And the reward when you get there is amazing. And it's just walking blindly with intuition to start with, not the Akash, but the things that lead you there. Yeah.
Completely, completely. Um, so with that in mind, I'd like to actually just bookend that and go right back to the beginning, because obviously, it was a journey to get to that point where you were asking those questions and starting to discover who you are.
Yes.
Fascinating to hear, it was so amazing to hear, you came in with a splash, Valentina. So do you want to just tell us the story of you coming into it?
Yes, I would love to. So, wow, where to start? Okay, so uh, when my mum was pregnant with me, my parents, this is a large Catholic family in New Zealand, uh, and they already had 5 kids. So I was number 6, and my mum was in her 40s. And during childbirth, she actually died, and she hemorrhaged and died, and they pumped her heart and brought her back to life. And but when she died, I remember I've gone back spontaneously in healings and remembered following her down the tunnel of light, down her tunnel, and I saw her speaking to her guides. It makes me emotional too. And I saw her saying, I don't want to go back. I can't do it. And they were saying to her, well, you have freedom of choice. It's not your time, but to finish your life, but you have choice. You don't have to go back if you don't want to. But that soul has followed you down the tunnel, which was me.
Yeah.
And he said to her, if you don't go back, she won't go back. And so she came back. Yeah, it was amazing. And she was very sick. She had a hysterectomy. She was in hospital for a long time. She was very depressed. And I spoke to her about it when I was a teenager. It was a family secret until I demanded to know what happened to me, because I knew something had happened. And one of my brothers said, maybe it's the orphanage. I'm like, what? And he said, Mum, you have to tell her. And he said, I'm sorry. He said to me, we were sworn to secrecy. And so then she was open, once she had decided it had to come out. And she said she was floating above her body, and she could see her body and she could see the baby, but she was just depressed. I just don't want to go back.
Yeah.
And from her memory, they pumped her heart and brought her back. And she's just, what did you do that for?
Yeah.
But so they looked after her, and as best they could. 1964, so I'm not sure how much mental and emotional care she received, but they looked after her. And the surgeon, it was a Catholic hospital, and the surgeon said to my father, we don't know what's going to happen with Anne. Why don't we put the baby in with the nuns who look after the unmarried Catholic girls that are pregnant, because they know how to look after babies.
Yeah.
And we'll just wait and see what happens. So that was my, landing. And I went to a convent that was full of women and looked after I'm not sure how well they looked after the unmarried young Catholic girls. They definitely cherished the babies.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my start in life.
That story in itself just shows so many potent things about the human journey, right? And the soul and the human journey. The fact that one, you're showing there is a destined plan. We do have a destined plan when we come in, but we also have free will. So it's, sometimes people ask, well, we've got this destiny, how have we got free will? But it's because we have the choice to choose our destiny. We don't have to
Yeah.
choose, right? So it kind of shows with your mom there that
Yeah.
it's a hard school, and she could have chosen to leave, but thankfully she chose a destiny, and
Yeah.
you would have
Just,
found a
yeah.
way, you'd have got in anyway, Valentina, another way, but I'm so grateful that your mum chose to stay.
Yes, me too. And she stayed till she was in her 90s. She really stayed
It's
and
amazing.
and loved us. Yeah.
Yeah, so grateful to your mum for soldiering on and coming back, and you coming back in, and then
Yeah.
and it also shows, Valentina, that I talk often to my clients about this, that our childhood really shapes things within us, and often at the beginning of our lives when we go through trauma, we don't even consciously remember it, because in order to cope, we have to bury those traumas in a way just to be able to cope. So then we have to go through a healing journey and start to heal those. So it just shows how you didn't even know that you knew something deep down, you knew something inside,
Mm.
and that led you to ask your mum and search all that. But so with
Yeah.
that in mind, the fact that we know we've got a destiny and we choose it, I mean, why people, people, I say this to my
Mm.
clients, we choose everything that we go through, and there's higher reasons for those choices. It's not often the reason that people think it is. There's higher reasons for it, beautiful reasons for it, really. So why did you choose something so traumatic to
Mm.
go into?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good one. And this is like the whole thing of where we choose stuff when we're up there and we
Yeah,
don't realize how traumatic it's going to be. So
yeah,
I chose that so that I could keep a foot in both worlds and not forget where I was from. Because I was in a convent that was full of women, mothers, babies, full of feminine energy, prayers, singing, natural food. They had their own garden. And like there was trauma, of course, which I've worked through, and not bonding to one person like you would with your mother. I was able to not land completely in my body. So I was able to keep a foot in both worlds, retain a foot in the Akash and a foot on earth. I was kept the dual consciousness of both alive in my body because I didn't have the same process that most people have of coming in and landing. And then there's that forgetfulness, that veil of forgetfulness comes in fairly quickly. So I designed it like that so that I would have from the get go, I would be in both worlds. Yeah. So
yeah, yeah.
that's why.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's empowering to start understanding why we choose things as well, which obviously we can start to learn as we access information from our Akashic records.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's all there for you
Yeah.
to gradually go and navigate and
Yeah.
retrieve information. Yeah.
I always held within myself that from a very young age that I also planned my own life. I just knew I was responsible for it, but I didn't know how to articulate that. And it certainly wasn't taught to me or reflected back to me. And it
Mm.
was when it was a certain book that I read in my early 20s about past lives that started to confirm that to me when I thought, and that empowered me. It empowered me because I used to hold that in my mind and think, okay, any challenge that I'm facing, I've planned this. So if I've planned it, it means I can get through it. So it really empowered
Yeah.
me. And then when I had obviously the Akashic record with you, the second reading, Valentina, and at one point, you were viewing me with these crystal towels, and it was like, oh, you're planning this life, and it just clicked in. I
So
thought, yes,
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, and I
Yeah.
know I've planned this second half of my life to be epic. So I'm excited. Yeah, so it's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's so empowering. It's so empowering to start.
Mm.
We've got this story from birth that we told, and then as we start to really discover the truth and we see the higher story, it just so much light
Yeah.
comes, so much healing and transformation takes place as
Yeah.
part of that journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So thank you for sharing that. So when did you actually become aware of the Akasha? So obviously you said you're coming in and you've got one foot in, one foot out. So I know you talk a lot about being in the being in these libraries, how, but you weren't exactly aware of what that was. So if you could just tell us a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. So I was going into the library in the sky every night as a child, and um, and I was sitting in a circle with what I just called the tall men in robes with the long beards, um, and we would pull out all these scrolls and look at them, and it was so interesting and intriguing. It was all about my family, the people I knew, the geography of the area I lived, a lot about World War II, a lot about the earth, and just a lot of mathematical equations. And I understood it all as a child. It was
Yeah,
like the best place in the world. And I couldn't wait to share it. And every morning I'd think, I'm gonna manage it this time, and I'd be so close, and then I'd lose it just as I'd wake up. So anyway, so that was happening all through my childhood, and then I I went uh, when I was younger. I think I was about 30, or maybe I can't remember, late 20s, early 30s. I went. I'm just trying to remember the age. I'll just say, so then in my early adulthood, I went to I'd started studying sand play therapy. So I went to a live-in, retreat at a certain level with other people. And on the first night there, of course, I was in the Akash all night, and there was so many equations and blueprints for everyone there. And I woke up in the morning and it was jumbled.
Yeah.
So I went to make myself a cup of tea early before anyone else got up. And I was making myself a tea, and another beautiful lady who I can't remember her name. I wish I could. She's just so lovely. To me, she was older, probably mid-30s, which to me now is really young. Anyway, I just thought she was just so wonderful, and she was so compassionate. And she said, "Oh my goodness, you look exhausted. Issues must have been coming up for you in your sleep. Let's go and do a sand play together before anyone else gets up, and we'll work through it together." And because I was exhausted, my mouth wasn't zipped like I'd learned to zip it my whole life, because no one else understood my jumbled trying to explain what I was doing. And but it wasn't zipped because I was exhausted. And I said, "Oh, I wish there were issues coming up. I've been in the library in the sky all night. I've got information for everyone, and it's all jumbled now. I'm exhausted." And she just very kindly said, "Oh, well, let's talk about that then. Shall we both make tea, and we'll both go and sit on the veranda, and you tell me all about that." And so it just all came out. It was like the dam broke. Just blah, 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 blah. And it's been happening all my life. Tears. I'm exhausted. And eventually I stopped to breathe. And she said, those magic words along the line of, "You don't know who you are," but her words were, "You don't know where you're going at night time, do you?" I went, "No." And she said, "The the Akashic, that is called the Akashic Records. It's very well documented. You can find books on it. It's in all the major teachings. All the major religions talk about the Akash. They call it different things, but it's the Akash.
Yeah.
Book of the Dead, the Akash, the this, the that. I can't remember them offhand." And I was like, "Oh." She said, "Yes, you can find information. That is where you're going." It's like, oh. And then she said, "You could be a guru." I was like, "Oh." People want this information. This is your big skill in life. This is what you have incarnated to do. This is really, really important.
Yeah.
And people want this. People will follow you. You could be a guru. And I was like, "Oh, well, it's great to know, but I definitely don't want that." At that time, this is going back 30, 35 years, there were a lot of spiritual egos in the spiritual community. So I really didn't want to go down the leadership path,
Yeah.
or have people follow me, or be that weirdo. I've come from a Catholic family. I'm already, dancing with the devil by reading tarot cards, let
Wow.
alone saying that I can access people's soul wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I went to art school instead.
Hey.
I just thought, nice to know. I think I'll go to art school and smoke dope, thanks.
Of course. I love when you told me this part of the story. I thought, yes, we are these wise ancient, we are these wise beings, and but we're still coming into a human experience, right? So we're still subjected to
Yeah.
the human programming,
Yeah,
and
we still want to fit in, to the human environment that we're in, even though clearly we don't. But
exactly. And it creates these doubts inside of yourself, innit? So even though this, you're going into this magical place and this woman's telling you this, you're like, it's a lot of pressure. Um,
It's a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
And actually, I often say to my clients as well, and when I'm talking on my YouTube channel, that people want all of the information at once, right? They want, why can't I just? But I say, if you knew everything at once, you'd be overwhelmed and you wouldn't take it
Totally.
forward. So it's why
Yeah.
we design our lives to unfold as we have to take the steps. We have to have the faith. We've got to make those steps. We've got to show spirit, show our soul self that we're willing to take those steps. And if we do, it'll give us a bit more, and it'll give us a bit more, and it'll continue
Yeah.
a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that, Valentina. I love seeing that. Sorry, do you want
I need to pause for a second because the cat's probably not going to stop crying till I let
to?
him in.
Yes. I love that. I love that story because it shows like we started the interview saying, who you know yourself to be. You know that is you now, and you're claiming that and you're embodying that. But
Yeah.
it's a journey to get to that point because doubts, fears come up with programmed to believe we are absolutely the opposite of who we actually are. So it takes
Yeah.
courage to
Yeah.
claim that and especially for you, Valentina. Like, I think about myself now, opening up to my spirituality, starting to claim who I am, unapologetically be myself now and allow myself to be that. But it's a different climate that we find ourselves in now. I mean, it's still not fully open, but it's opening up so much more. People are awakening. But for you back then, it was pretty close.
Yeah. Unless you wanted to be, super, one of the super weirdos.
Right?
And also the energy on Earth was different. Like literally the energetic resonance of Earth was different. So for me, being who I was and so hypersensitive was really like walking on knives, trying to navigate Earth's energy. But that's changed too. So
Yeah.
it's actually a lot easier for me to energetically, like the vibrational resonance of who I am.
Yes.
It's easier for me to be that now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think viewers will be able to see that in their own lives as well, just like I can, like, particularly probably, I don't know, since for me personally, since 2020, that energy's accelerated, but I know that energy's been coming in,
Yeah.
the frequency's been changing on Earth from since before then, but it's certainly getting more powerful, like you say. So it makes it easy for us to start discovering who
Yes.
and being our true selves as well. Um,
Yeah.
I love that. So obviously you're kind of saying then, you didn't instantly fully embrace it per se. I mean, and you went to art school. So what then led you back to, thinking, right, I'm gonna start
Right.
embracing now. This is who I am.
So yeah. So I was still having the dreams, of course, of going into the Akash. And I would tell people things like, oh, I had this dream about you, or, just keep it pretty light. And then one day, this was in the early days of the internet, so I could go online and order a book. So I found a book called, Linda Howe's How to Read the Akashic Records. And I ordered it and I felt so guilty. I thought, this is not really me. It's just a story, really. This whole other part of my life, like it couldn't possibly like really be true. So, and that arrived, and then I was able to just use her process that I used at that time. I used her process, pathway prayer, and meditation, and go in, come out. It was like, oh my god, this is so easy.
Mm,
Like it's done in the daytime. There's an opening and a closing. It's within a parameter of energy.
yeah,
Um, and it just changed everything. And I realized that, it was very doable for me.
yeah,
Um, and then there was another moment too where, so I started reading records for people using her method. And yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
mean, it's beautiful. And obviously, since that moment, you've obviously done thousands of, I'm sure, thousands of
Yeah,
one-to-one
reading. Yeah.
um, and that's developed into training as well. Obviously, I'm part of that training.
Yeah.
So before we get into that
Yeah.
a little bit, obviously you've seen so many clients. So what's the most popular question? What do people always want to know in the Akash?
Well, it's phrased slightly differently these days. People always want to know, what is my mission? But when I started reading the Akash, the question, which is basically the same question, was what is my life purpose? What's my job?
Yes.
And so that's always the first question people want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in that, because I remember you telling me a story, you used to have a client that would come quite often, and he actually passed that back
Peter.
to you, didn't he? Yeah.
I
And
did. So afterwards, we were having a cup of tea, and which is just settling the client after the session before they leave, and he was chatting away, and he said, "Oh, so what's something everyone always asks?" And I said, "Oh, what is my life purpose?" He said, "Yeah, that was my first question back when I started with you." I said, "Yep." He said, "So what's your life purpose?" I was like, to give people Akashic sessions, to just do what I'm doing, to heal and read in the Akash." And off he went. And then as soon as he's gone, I was like, oh, I can't believe I never asked that for myself.
yeah.
So I went into the Akash and asked, what's my life purpose? What's my job? Uh, and I got an answer that I had never even considered, but makes complete sense now that you know me at this end of my life. And they said, your job is to take the keys of the Akash back from the whale kingdom and return them to humanity. Um, and and I was like, oh, why didn't I not know? I said, you didn't ask. So that's a good thing to know too. You have to ask in the Akash and ask in a range of ways
Yeah.
it works on the spoken word. Anyway, so I was like, okay, now I know. Can't wait. But I was waiting to feel the inspiration to go and swim with the whales, to go on a whale tour,
Yeah.
something. Nothing was sort of grabbing me. And in the meantime, I live at the beach, and I was walking on the beach every day, and it's where the whales go,
Yeah.
so go past. So it's whale season. I'm connecting to the whales when they're going past, not thinking anything more of it. And and also I had another client who has sessions. He's been with me for like 25 years, 22 years, anyway, long time.
Yeah.
And his sessions are always for, what Earth needs. And then if we have time, these are my questions. He's very much concerned about, what's in the best interests of humanity and of Earth. So, for his session back in those days, I would telephone him, chat, hang up, distance client, and then do the session and type it as I go. And so there I am doing his session, typing it, and it gets to the stage where at that stage, using Linda Howe's method, we'd gone out to the Akash, which was a field of energy outside of Earth, an etheric field of energy. And we're out there, and then I'm back in the blue aura of Earth, which you see, as a thin blue gas around Earth, but I see it as an auric field. And there's all these healers from all over the world with their arms out, all palms connected, all connecting with each other around the Earth from all the countries, like everywhere on Earth. And so I'm just typing that this is happening, and I'm just waiting to see what happens next. And then all of a sudden the Akash lands, and it's literally like with all this wind coming out from underneath, like, And I was like, oh, typing that. Cash has just landed. And as soon as it landed and started to go down to the center of the earth, to Gaia, to Earth's Hara,
Yeah.
all these beings from the 14th dimension flew in to assist. And they're kind of like Pegasus, but they're not. They're winged white horses from the 14th dimension. And I've communicated with them a lot since then. They're called hydrons. That's what they said they're called. And they're huge, and they just flew everywhere on Earth, harmonizing all the energy so that the Akash could land without destabilizing Earth. And all the healers from around the world were still holding the energy in the auric field. And so that whole healing was just the Akash landing back to Earth's Hara, back to her core. And then the healings, week by week after that, were a lot of working with Earth. And you know the soul called Gaia is incarnated as Earth.
Yeah.
And working through her emotions too, her anger and grief, that we thought that having the Akashic wisdom out there was okay, disconnected from her Hara. And also there was a lot of communication between her and the sun. So Mother Earth and Father Sun connecting with each other, and with the wisdom, the Akashic wisdom, being earthed back into the center. So that was incredible. And then, of course, after that, my guides, in the Akash, and my family in the Akash gave me a new way to read the Akash.
Yeah.
That takes into account that I've reattached the Akash to the center of the earth, which was what turns out was the process of taking the keys back for humanity. So then I was walking on the beach and asking the whales, thanking them and asking them what they would like, what do they need from me? And they said, we don't want anything. We're just so happy to not have that yoke on us anymore, because it wasn't ours to carry. Our job is navigational. The work we do with our sonar and navigating energy around the earth is what we do. But there was a big upswing with the protection of whales. So I felt like being released from that gave them their sovereignty and their freedom back. It was at a time, I can't remember, maybe 15 or so years ago, where a lot of protections came in for whales up in the Nordic regions and around Japan as well. There was a lot of success with declaring areas safe zones, and I felt like that was their reward, that they got their sovereignty back for a while.
I
Just
mean,
a little bit. Still needs work, but yeah.
definitely. What an amazing achievement. And when you told me that story as well in our first training, I was like, because when you do Akashic records reading, Valentine, obviously you're channeling, and you're not gonna you're doing many people. You don't remember everything that comes through, because you're and I know when I do videos sometimes I don't even remember what I've said, and sometimes I'll watch
Yeah,
it like, oh, interesting, because you're in
it's
that.
interesting. It's great when clients, book in another one and they tell me what happened in the last one. Wow.
when when you started talking about those white-winged beings, so then I said, Valentina, I have to, my first reading with you were like, you're from the 14th dimension, and I knew I was an old soul. I had this feeling
Yeah.
inside me. You're from the 14th dimension, so pre-earth, pre-creational earth, and it was like, and you presenting us, and actually there was a divine masculine there, and it was this. And you were saying like called Hydra. Obviously, that is not the Earth name. And you were like, and you're both presenting as these white-winged horses, and you made a point of saying these are not Pegasuses; these are white-winged horses. And when we were talking about mission and purpose, and you were like, and you come in and you harmonize. So I was like, oh my God, Valentina, that was us. It was so exciting.
No wonder we ended up connecting in the 3D.
Exactly. And again, it shows
Yeah.
that the more we
We
follow
were
our
working together back then.
we were
Yeah.
working together back then, and it was
Yeah.
destined that we would meet again, and I would become your student, and because I followed those inner callings, so it was just amazing. And yeah, to hear that story and see those links, and obviously amazing what transpired. The fact that you brought those records back to earth means that I can do this training, means that we can then help more souls.
Well, it's not wasn't just a big healing for Earth and to give the keys back to humanity, but it's safe. When
Yeah,
I was doing the other method, I'd often take people out there with me until my guides pulled me up and they said, "You have to stop doing that because not everyone walks between worlds, and maybe one day someone won't be able to come back, and they'll be stuck. They're not like you. They can't just, you know,
yeah.
come and go." So, but now you literally, it's just so safe now.
Well, I love that.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that's so important. Like, yeah, you've created that safe, sacred space to do this work and access those records.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
beautiful healing about the earth, because we think about our bodies, but the earth is a body as well, and the earth also feels our pain, feels the pain, feels the disconnection from her own
yeah,
soul. Like we've been disconnected from our soul. So it's that
yeah.
that bringing that connection back, and that so it's so beautiful to see, the healing that you've helped earth go through. And I say to my clients, every body that heals helps the earth to heal as well, because we're just totally connected.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
so,
very wise, Corinne.
thank you.
Mm.
Thank you. But that is absolutely beautiful. um so um so just on that then, sorry, just checking my notes there. You obviously was doing the one-to-ones, and obviously very successfully, and speaks volumes the fact that you've got clients that just continue to come back, and some of your clients like myself become students, and actually come to work with you. And you told about how it started off with one-to-one readings, but then at some point your guides came in and they were like, right, it's time to start training people now. So do you want to just tell
Yeah.
us? It's very interesting.
So exactly that. They said, okay, we want you to start, connecting people up with their own wisdom, not just doing it as readings. It's time to do what you've come to do. And they gave me the full system of healing, which brings in the galactic, the earth, and the solar cache, and more details, like a whole process and how to teach it. And they they said, so this is what you need to do. And so I put out there that I was ready to teach, and would encourage people to book in with me, but people didn't want to learn. They just wanted me to do it. And they'd say, oh, and I'd say, look, I'm not meant to do this anymore. I'm meant to teach now. Oh, just please, 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 please. So I said, oh, okay. And then the Akash said, if you keep doing that, we're going to take your channel away from you. And they did. So there were 3 readings in a row where I couldn't get any information. So then I had to teach, and that was it. There was no more one-on-ones for quite some time. And so that was great. So that kick-started that business. So people
Yeah.
booked in, and, off it went. And then of course, one day someone said, "Are you allowed to do healings yet?" I was like, "No, no. Could you double check that, please, in the Akash?" And so I was given permission, as long as I didn't, as long as I kept it balanced. So
Yeah.
I gradually reintroduced doing healings as well. And now it's actually, a part of my training that you have to have done a session with me or with one of my graduates, like with you,
Yeah.
um, before training, because it's very unusual. You have to know what you're getting, what you're signing up for, basically.
Yeah.
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 So,
I just love how that story shows how, our higher selves, our guides, can do that for us if we are not heeding that advice. And we can be quite resistant as humans sometimes, can't we? And And obviously it was from a space
That's
of,
an understatement.
yeah, that's an understatement, you're right. I'm trying to be really, yeah. Yes. Yeah, there's other words I could use there. I just love how they just was like, right, you're not listening. Boom, we're just going to switch it off.
Yeah,
And then you have,
yeah,
and often, you know, our souls are doing it because they love us, because they're trying to get us back on track to our higher timeline. So it's from love.
totally from love. Yeah,
Yes, maybe it's a bit of tough love, but sometimes we need that tough love,
yeah.
don't we?
And it's kind of help in a way because I didn't have the strength really to say no to
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
So that gave me the strength to say no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, because you have no, you're like, there's nothing I can do. Yeah, I love it, and thankfully, because then you know you're creating this force, this I was going to say army, but army of light workers that you know light that can go out and
Yeah,
put out to even, because there's only so much you can do as one person, right? There's only so
there's
many
only so
hours
much.
in a day,
Yeah,
and obviously this
yeah.
work, Valentina, you know, these sessions are like 3 hours long, so the sessions itself
Mm.
are quite intense. It's a lot, you know, working in these energy realms. It does take energy, but you've also got to do work to prepare yourself for being in that
Yeah,
and
yeah,
channel to deliver those messages, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not just switched on like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a sacred space and it needs to be entered with reverence and preparation, like going into a sacred temple. And, you know, as the practitioner, that's what we do, you
yeah,
know, to prepare for our clients, to turn up with, you know, our own healing done beforehand so that we're ready to
yeah.
hold that space and to facilitate it very clearly and very correctly.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In order for you to be the channel you are, you've had to do a lot of work, a lot of inner work. You've had to go on a deep,
Yeah, really have to be walking the talk. Yeah.
exactly. Yes, yes. So, so when I started doing my training with you, or actually before the training, actually, when I booked a reading with you, you send an amazing meditation to start doing, to start healing the body, connecting us a bit. It's like a chakra healing, but you don't call the chakra. This was the first time I've ever heard this. You don't call the chakras. You call them shakaras. Um,
Yeah.
and I'd never heard that word before. So I'd really love you just to let the audience know a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so I was doing a session for my Queensland client, the same one that I was working with when I landed the Akash rod. And I created a whole grid for his Shakara body with all these crystals. And that's what the healing that was required for him in the Akash. And his guides had asked me to call them Shakaras. And when the healing finished, I was up at Source Akash, an area of the Akash, just clearing my energy. Um, well, quite a wonderful area of the Akash, source energy. And a couple of my Akashic guides came through and said, you're to continue saying Shakara. This is not just for this client. This is the original correct pronunciation because words have vibration and Shakara is open and expansive. And that's the correct original creation energy of this word. And um, and I've since learned and teach in the level 2, which you're learning at the moment, that it's actually light language, and there are specific codes that come in with each Shakara. They to do with the combination of the earth, the soul, and the galactic Akash. So it's amazing. I always trust what I'm told in the Akash and honor that in my 3D world. And I don't always know the deeper meaning. But you know, I just at first all I knew that it was open and expansive. That's why I said it. But there's so much more. There's always so much more to everything that you're taught in the Akash. When you're ready, they'll give you the next layer of information.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
love
So
that.
shikaras. And it
Yeah.
sounds beautiful. I
It,
just love it.
it sounds
Shikaras.
It sounds
Yeah.
so beautiful, Shakara's, and like I said, nobody is saying that, and it just shows how, well, I think we talked about this off camera, how, there's obviously a lot of what we've been taught, a lot of the information we've been given as humans has been inverted, has been there to keep us down, stop us from connecting to who we really are, because who we really are
Yeah.
is so much more.
Yeah. It has a grain of the original energy, but not all the information. A lot of stuff out there, or inverted, or destroy, weird coding put in it. So people feel like they're getting an amazing spiritual learning or practice, but you can tell, when you're not getting all of the correct information, because you don't feel that your life is freed up. You still feel trapped in some way.
Yeah,
And that's, yeah,
yeah, and
yeah,
I love that, and obviously there's going to be so much, it just shows how, well, just all this original organic, it's all this original coding that you're bringing through, and that's what when I came to you, I started to wake up to part of my mission being to help bring back those organic codes
yeah.
and remembering.
Exciting. Yeah. And it's kind of hard to explain to people, but when you come into connection with your own original organic creation coding, and other people that are bringing that through, and connect, it's not like anything else you've ever experienced. It's it's a complete different level of feeling like the equations of your body and your life fit and work and feel really good. Yeah.
Beautiful. I nearly introduced you saying like Valentina Matthias. I was like, it's a perfect last name, right? Because you are so good at equations, Matthias. So it's always there. I always say things are always there, right in front of us. We've always left
Yeah.
clues about who we are. um, so is it? So we're going to wrap up shortly. Or is anything else that, obviously we've covered quite a lot, but if there's anything else you want to share about the Akash, feel free.
Um, Let me see if anything's coming through. Oh, yeah. There's a really interesting thing that always comes through in the Akash, which is a good thing to know in your life out there, in your everyday life too, about yourself and people, is that when I'm reading for people, when we're coming into the highest potential alignment of a person's soul and their incarnation, the vibrational energy of kindness comes into the healing. And I'm a color person, like I feel emotions in color, I see color everywhere as well. So I see this beautiful green that comes in as well, and the vibrational resonance of kindness. And it's when I know that we're getting to the real, true, highest potential alignment for the client. And and you know that in life too, that when people are really kind people, they're really aligned with who they are as a soul, with their soul essence. And it doesn't mean that they're doing anything woo woo and spiritual and soulful, so to speak. They might not be at all. Like, not everyone's coming in with that equation. In fact, they may not need all of that. Often it's those of us that need to learn stuff that are coming in with the equation to learn it or to teach it. So people like that, no matter what they're doing in their 3D world, or even if they think spiritual stuff is silly, they are really, really strongly aligned with their soul essence and their highest, their highest purpose in life. So just don't judge them on what you think would be a high soul purpose. If they're kind, they're living in their soul truth. I
Like,
think that's a really wonderful thing to know.
I think that is beautiful, and I really, really resonate with that. And like, that is so beautiful. And often again, when I'm speaking to my clients, I will say, like, we've all got a purpose, we've all got a mission, but it's not necessarily getting out there. It doesn't have to be something grand and big. It's just about being that love in your life and being that ripple and that
Yes.
and
So
and
true.
I remember
Yeah.
coming into your first reading, I'm like, what are my gifts? I want to know more about my gifts and my talents, and I want to, how can I develop them more? And you were plugging in, and you're like, your higher self is saying, it's your kindness, it's your compassion, and you're like,
Ah,
I think you want other things. But I was like, yeah, it is that. It's my, and it's really sunken even deeper for me after that. It is my kindness, it is my compassion. And I realized that with a lot of my clients when I first changed what I did from, I worked in finance, Valentina, for the first 22 years of my life, and I completely shifted into soul therapy. And quite early on, I was getting quite intense clients, and I was thinking, and really what did I bring was so much kindness, so much compassion, so much non-judgment as well. And people would tell me things that they've not ever said, and it was met with love, kindness, and compassion. And I saw how that dissolved so much how that healed
yeah.
so much more than I could, so much in such a short space of time. So imagine
Perfect.
that we're all just kind to each other, that we all just have compassion, kindness, and non-judgment, how quickly the world is
Yeah.
going to change.
Yeah. 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 That would be lovely. And
Thank
it
you.
can be a relief for people too, if the Akash says, what you're doing is what you've come to do. And they're like, oh, phew. So I don't have to go on this big journey to find myself.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, love that.
You're already on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. What a beautiful, that's so lovely. Thank you for bringing that through. So I guess just maybe just talk about, what's next a little bit, obviously. And how can people get in touch with you, Valentina, as well? And what kind of things is on the agenda for you right now?
Okay. So my website is balancebeginswithme.com. So it's very easy to remember. Balance begins with me. And it's at the time of recording this, I'm
Yeah.
booked out for the next few months, but I will be, loading more things up when I'm ready to, and creating an online community so that, the graduates can have regular connection, and people that just want to come in and have a soul healing spa, a beautiful experience, can come in and do that. So that's in the works. And my life at the moment, um, I'll tell you, this is what my life has become now as an adult Akashic reader. I turned 60 this year, and I would say I'm living the dream. So, and this is what it looks like. Most of this year, I've been living in Bali, working remotely, and doing my own healing there with a past life aspect of myself, who's a spirit being in the past in Bali, and just building a different foundation for my business. I needed time to work on some stuff and enjoy being there. Bali called me, so I went. I tend to go where I'm called on Earth. It's always somewhere lovely, but I'm here to assist Earth and humans, so I go where I needed. And then the travel coming up in this half of the year, or this end of the year. So we're in October as we're recording this. And then on the 20th of this month, I go back to Bali for a few days to reconnect and spend some time at this beautiful black sand volcanic beach, snorkeling with turtles and other sea creatures, because I'm very connected to the ocean. A lot of my energy is oceanic. And then I'm going to the Caribbean, to a beautiful healing island there called Curacao, where we have an Akashic community run by my friend and teaching graduate Katie Tiana. And on the way through, I'll stop in Amsterdam and catch up with some of my graduates who live in the Netherlands. And then Curacao, where Katie and I will be teaching level 2, Akashic Records, which is learning how to be a practitioner and just immersing in the deeper meanings of all the teachings. And I have some mentees, so a couple of my mentees will be there. So I'll be spending time with them and connecting with other mentees and students, from there. I like to give the people I'm working with energy from the different parts of the planet I go to. And as I'm leading up to go in there. Even before that, to backtrack slightly, I'm doing the preparation level 1 training for the Costa Rica trip that Corinne is coming to, and the level 2 preparation training with Corinne and a group of other people. And I also have a private client online that's learning the Akash in Utah. So, and then that's my travels start, teaching in Curacao and meeting some mentees, and meeting with some of my friends there in the Akashic community, and connecting with the land. Very, very important. The Akashic guides, going to the sacred areas. Then Katie Tiana and I fly across to Costa Rica, where and we'll tell people more about that soon too, where I'm the guest teacher at this amazing retreat, being run by Judy Queben from Living in Om, who's another incredible being on this planet, living her purpose and, doing great things. We'll swing back around to that. So we'll be there for 10 days. Then I go back to Curacao with Katie, and we've got some more students flying in and some locals from the island, do the level 1 training, do some catch-ups with the Akashic community that Katie and I have set up there. I've visited there before and done online trainings as well. And then, it gets better. So that's all the Akashic service, really. That's all my work. If you can call it work, it's pretty good work. But then I'm going with a group of people across to Colombia, and we're going to go up the what are those mountains called?
Oh,
Sierra Nevada mountains, up the Sierra Nevada mountains in Colombia, to connect with these tribal groups who, the elders, the healers from them, who have, they retreated from society about 500 years ago at the time of the Spanish invasion, to back up high up in the mountains. And they've been coming out for a while. Like, there's YouTubes on them, videos on them. The BBC did a documentary of the Kogi. So the 4 groups are called the Kogi, the Arawako, the Wiwa, and the Guantanamo. So then, a group of us will be up there being with these amazing elders, and their teachings dovetail incredibly with the Akashic teachings, as my family teach me to teach them too. Yeah. So it's just like a dream come true. I've been on Zooms with them before. They come down the mountain. People are trying to get the teachings out and the healing out, and hop on a Zoom with a few healers around the world that facilitate them. So now I'm actually getting to go up there and just be in their presence. So that's it. That's my amazing next few months. Absolutely. It's just really the dream life, and I will be someone completely different at the end of it, I feel, or maybe just more me. I don't know. Yeah.
Obviously we're doing the level, so like you mentioned, we're going to Costa Rica, so this is why I'll be putting an offer on after we finish this interview.
Yeah, so excited.
Sessions that I'm going to open up in December, because I'll be trained then. So up to Costa Rica, we're also doing our level 2 training. We're going to be doing more training in Costa Rica, but I was just catching up on a training the other day, Valentina, and I could see this shift in you. Like, even though you are just amazing, I could even see even more of you. So like you said, you're just continually embodying even more of ourselves.
Yeah, it's the embodiment. Yeah. And, preparing for Costa Rica under Judy's guidance, we've all been doing detoxes, and that's been incredible for coming more into my body. And the elders in Colombia are sending myself and the other people who are going healing. They've been doing that for a few weeks now until we arrive there. Yeah. So the upgrades this year are incredible, and I've seen you blossom even more, if that's possible, too.
now is the time, right? I say this to everyone, like now is the time to do your healing. Now is the time to focus on
Yeah,
discovering of the self, because the energies are so supporting us to do this work on an
they
accelerator.
totally are. Yeah, yeah, and it doesn't matter where you're at, it gets better. You
Yes.
know, it might contract, you know, there's contraction and expansion. So you might have to do your work, your personal growth, but
Yes.
then it will expand. And then you might have to do some more, then it will expand again. It's just because the next layer is coming up. And it doesn't change. It's the same for all of us. That's just life.
Right. And
Yeah.
actually that reminds me of part of my Akasha when, I felt I was moving on. I knew I was moving on to a new timeline. And you confirmed that, like, this is a timeline shift. And you was like, it's a bit rocky as your energy's coming in. Like it's a little rocky. And then you was like, it's settling. I thought, yeah, I've been experiencing that in the physical, that rockiness of that new energy coming in while
Yeah.
you rates and you acclimatize. So you're right, you kind of expand, but then sometimes you contract it a little bit while, and then that expansion is just a part of the
Yeah.
journey. And once we
It's
understand,
part of it.
once you
Yeah.
understand it, you don't have to go into anxiety or stress about it. You can just
Once you
embrace.
understand that's how energy works, yeah, then
Yeah,
you're like, you're stage. You're not fighting it so much.
yeah,
And so, what intrigues you? I mean, you'll be qualified by the time you
uh,
return, which is so
yeah.
exciting. And but what intrigues you about the, you know, the whole retreat? It's such a, it's be so beautiful to be there on the land.
I mean, everything. It's so, I mean, yeah, it's like a dream. It's a dream that I didn't even realize that I had until recently. Um, but so really it's connecting deeply with the land. So just really being
Yeah,
able to deepen that connection with the land. I've come to realize, I mean, I've always loved humanity. I've always loved the earth. But that love of humanity and the earth is just growing and growing as I'm remembering who I am and why
yeah,
I'm here as well. So that
yeah,
opportunity to be in the Cherokee Mountains, where we're surrounded by the mountains, the jungle, that pristine water, just
Mhm.
being there,
Oh, I can't wait to taste the water.
taste the
Yeah,
water, just being there without anything else is life changing and healing. But then when we
yeah.
couple in with it, the fact that obviously Valentina, I'm going to meet you and we're going to continue the level 2 training, which just
Yeah, and we'll be doing land Akash. Like, it's incredible doing grid work with the Akash. Like, it's no one else is, well, I don't know what everyone else is doing, but yeah, there's nothing like the way we work.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so sacred, and it's and like I say, like with the bodies, the earth is like a body, and our bodies then connect to the earth, and we can really, it's like a symbiotic relationship in it where we're
It
helping.
is. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah. And you'll be bringing that energy back with you.
yes,
So your first clients when you get back are pretty lucky. Like, it's a big thing to bring energy from places that are really pure like that, and have to open the Akash and to have worked with the land there, and then come back with that. It's like that coding is in you,
yeah,
then to be able to assist people, you know, in very um, pure and clear ways, because the land there is still so pure and clear.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's akin to, like, you know, just meeting an incredible, amazing angelic being, except that it's an area of earth. It's that powerful, because the you know, the people that have lived on that mountain are different from um, the people in the rest of Costa Rica, and they've really looked after the both the galactic and the earth energies that are there. So it really, with them being like that, it really aligns with the fact that we open galactic earth and solar cache, because the people there that have been the guardians of that area, that particular tribal group, have kept that connection there too, and kept it sacred and strong. And um, you know, I just can't believe we're going to be there too.
I so proud.
So blessed. Yeah.
Such an honor and a blessing, and I think when I first started training with you, Valentina, I heard about the Akash probably about 4 or 5 years ago. perhaps it came into my consciousness, and I did a few meditations, and I thought to myself, wow, what a dream to be able to go into the Akash and receive
Mm,
information. Um,
yeah.
and then obviously, that dream started to come true. So
Yes. Yeah, we are.
when
Yeah.
when
I
you
never wanted to be out of it when I was younger, and I had to, I was a single mum, and
yeah,
I had another part-time job as well. Well, it's not all immediate successful business.
yeah.
And I'd just be in the Akash in the morning before the day started, and I'd just be like, I don't want to come out. I just want to stay here.
when when
Yeah.
you're when you're when you first did that reading, and you're experiencing all, I mean, it's just such an honor, and it's so beautiful. And I just thought, what a dream job, what a dream. And I
Yeah.
feel like, it's really opening up that dream. I feel like I'm going to be very activated to a new level as I go to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need a lot of guidance that, I know this is a destined step that I'm taking. And even though, and I've
Yeah.
recognized some of the limiting beliefs and the thoughts that come up that we're programmed to say, no, you can't do this, no, you shouldn't go here. And
Yeah.
that's been part of the healing as well. As soon as I said yes, I've started to heal on a much deeper. I'm just excited about all the healing, all the
Mm,
activation, all the expansion, all
yeah.
the action. I just think it's
Yeah.
going to be just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. It is going to be amazing. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And combined with you know, the space being held by myself and Katie Tiana, my teaching graduate person that's coming with me from Wellspring Meditations, and Judy holding the space and running, organizing all these incredible sacred journeys, beyond the Akash,
yeah,
that will be going on, and sacred connections with kind of secret, sacred connections with amazing contacts that she has that only come out for her.
yeah,
It's just like, oh my goodness, like for all of us, it'll be amazing. Sometimes I'll be being the space holder,
yeah,
sometimes I'll be receiving. So, like to have something just coordinated and created that is
yeah.
where everyone is so well looked after too. Um, I
It's,
know that's not really talking about the Akash, but
oh, no,
I'm
no,
just really looking
all
forward
part
to it so much. It's,
it,
yeah. I like things to be done really well. I don't do average well. We all have, this is something else I've never told you.
right. Ooh.
I don't, maybe you'll go, that came up in session number one.
Damn.
But is that we all, in my Celtic lineage, there's a concept called the Yogesh. So Yogesh is something that is both a curse and a blessing. In my Celtic history, and yours too, for all of us in the world, but it's where I've learned of it is in my Celtic history in Ireland. We have a Gaesh, and a Gaesh is your blessing and your curse. And we all have that. And it's really important you know your Gaesh. And that's one of the questions you can ask in the Akash at some time for yourself, Corinne, because when you know your Gaesh, you know what to avoid in life because you know what your blessing and what your curse is. So my Gaesh, when I asked, my Gaesh is that I don't do average well. This just leads on from how much I love how professional the retreat is, with the professionals running it. And if I try to do average, my life just becomes miserable. If I try to have a normal relationship or, just live in the suburbs, or which is absolutely fine, makes people very happy. Like I desperately wanted to be vaguely normal, please, when I
Yeah,
was younger.
yeah,
But it just was just like, oh, I'd get sick, I'd hurt myself, I'd be unhappy and dissatisfied.
yeah,
There'd be arguments. And then finally, the Akash told me that my gaish is that I don't do average. So as long as I strive to stay in the lane of being exceptional,
yeah,
I'm happy and I can provide great experiences for people.
yeah,
But if I try to do average things, it doesn't work. And I've learned to just delegate as well because I'm like, No,
Yeah.
I've got my lane. And it's not being snobby. I just know what my gayish is now. Yeah.
Oh,
It makes a big difference when you know you're gayish.
that is amazing, and that's a great question for me to ask and for my clients to ask now. I love,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
absolutely do not do anything average. I can definitely
No,
attest to that. I know that I
okay.
am a royal Akashic member of the family when we do your work. It is beyond. It's amazing. So I'm
Thank
so
you. It was so
I,
lovely to be here with you today too. You're just
oh,
so
thank you.
divine and gorgeous. Thank you, Corinne.
Valentina. Thank you so
Mhm.
much. I really appreciate you taking the time. And I know that the audience will be blown away by this conversation. And hopefully the audience will stick around as we move into the special offer. Wow, what an amazing, amazing interview that was with Valentina. As you can see, I am training with the best. Valentina is part of the royal lineage of Akashic librarians that keeps the integrity of the Akashic records and the galactic records and the earth records. I mean, it's just incredible. So the offer, if you've got to this point, then you're likely interested in booking a reading with me. And I am going to be opening up 17 slots in December. So it's basically going to be a first come, first serve basis. And normally I would charge 244 for these readings, but for those that take advantage of this special offer and that energy that I'm going to be coming back with, I'm going to be doing those at 144, a 41% discount. I will be asking for an upfront payment to secure that slot because, as you know, I am actually raising money for my trip, but also to be honest with you, going forward in general, I would probably take a payment to secure the slot, but it's going to be 144, so a 41% discount. You can email, if you're interested, you can email me at info@schange.co.uk. I will then send you my calendar where you can directly book a slot, and I'll send you the payment details. But I'm also going to be offering an extra gift on top of this as well. As Valentina said, as we're going to be there, I'm going to be connecting to the sacred energies of the land, and I'm going to be activating codes within my own body. I'm going to be activating my gifts to a whole new level, and I'm going to be bringing that energy back. So I'm going to be creating, this message has been coming into me for a while. I'm going to be creating a special soul masterclass, which will be a masterclass in an energy activation, as well as followed up by a quantum healing hypnosis meditation. So I'll be recording that when I get back during December. And anyone that books one of these readings in December will also get that free as well. I don't know what it's going to be yet. I've got some ideas, but I'm just going to be open to see what comes through to me when I arrive in Costa Rica. So it'll be a little bit of a surprise gift as to what is going to come through in that masterclass and that quantum healing hypnosis meditation that I bring through as well. So please do email me if you're interested. info@schange.co.uk. And I just wanted to say as well, I realized when I listened to that interview that my sound wasn't great, and I realized that I had my microphone just not in the right position. So I do apologize for that because I realize it cuts in and out a little bit on my sound, but hopefully it doesn't ruin it for you too much. There's still, you get in, Valentina's sound was great, thankfully. That's just a learning point for me to make sure I've got the microphone in the right position. So I do apologize for that side of it, but hopefully you've really enjoyed watching this video as much as I've enjoyed creating this video for you. And hopefully, I'll be seeing you on a one-to-one session in December. Thank you.